Bubba, start cleaning those tires up. On green this time. Remember, they fan out down there, so protect that bottom. Sunday drive. All right, boss man. Face car's off. Be ready. Bud, be ready. Gas that bitch up. Ready. Green flag. Green.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Inside Pass here on WSIC. Thank you so much for listening to us on the radio this morning. TV's broken. We broke TV. Sorry. It'll be back soon. But in the meantime, you can listen to us on the radio or on WSICFM.com or on Facebook Live as well. If you go to the WSIC Facebook page, we're there. Hello and good morning. I'm Randy Miller. Tom Baker is sitting over in the sew-in seat this morning on the StrutMasters.com hotline this morning. We're going to have Christian Eckes from the Kyle Busch Motorsports team, driver of the number 18 Safe Flight Toyota Tundra. I'm sure he's ready to get back at it, and so he'll join us to talk to us about what he's been doing to kind of keep things going in his personal life as we get ready to go back racing in just a little bit. We'll talk about that because obviously that's what everybody wants to know is when do we get racing again, and it's T-minus about 10 days before we get racing again, and we'll talk about that in the show as well. A little bit of, I say breaking news. If you're a video game fan, you're going to love the news that came out this morning. 704 Games announced that they are creating NASCAR Heat 5. NASCAR Heat 5 is the latest incarnation of the NASCAR Heat series of video games for Xbox and PlayStation 4. It will be released on July the 10th. Chase Elliott is the cover athlete, which is no surprise. He's the most popular driver in the sport right now. The game will include basically just updated information leading into this season before we stopped due to the coronavirus. It'll have the updated schedule on it as well as updated teams and rosters and paint schemes and things like that. You will not only have to run Charlotte and Darlington. It is not the actual schedule that's coming out now. It's the schedule that was created before we started. So 38 tracks, career mode and all this, the same stuff basically the other game had. So if you're a video game fan, that's an exciting news there. What we came here to talk about is NASCAR's return, May 17th, which is 2 weeks from this past Sunday, a week from this coming Sunday. We will be talking about that coming up in the show. A lot of information, a lot of things that need to be broken down in terms of where they're going to go and safety protocols and things like that. So we'll break all that information down for you as well. We'll start with the iRacing Pro Division Pro Invitational Series. I was trying to think of the name of it. That will conclude its season on Saturday. The Sunday's race was Dover, a very interesting race. It seems like every week these races get more and more interesting. I kind of don't want to see it end now because it's so entertaining that I want it to keep going. But all good things must come to an end, and I'd rather see real racing instead.
Well, me too. It's going to end with a flurry, though.
Yes.
This Saturday, special time, 3 p.m. Eastern, from virtual North Wilkesboro.
Yes.
Who would have ever thought that North Wilkesboro would host a virtual race before they ever hosted the next real one? But it really becomes fitting because it would just be so much to rebuild that place. And not to say that we wouldn't like to see it happen, but Dale Jr. led a large group of people who volunteered their time to go and sort of clean the track up so that it could be scanned. And it's not available to the public yet. But the Pro Invitational Series Championship for the NASCAR Cup iRacers will be Saturday at North Wilkesboro, and that's going to be just a bunch of fun. And so, yeah, I love the iRacing deal. It kind of irritates me. People call it cartoon racing or whatever. That's just dumb. It's not supposed to be real racing. It was supposed to be entertainment in a way to connect with the fans while we were on house arrest, and I think it's done exactly that. And, I think it kind of got co-opted in a sense because now everybody and their brother has their own iRacing league or series. So there's 10,000 of them.
To follow.
Yeah. And it's just impossible to try and keep up with it all. But I thought the NASCAR deal was fun, and Saturday is going to be a great way to conclude, and then I'd love to see it. It probably won't happen, but I'd love to see it be an off-season thing.
Yeah.
Where we do 5 or 6 of these things in the off-season. But I suppose in December and January with the holidays and everything, everybody's got other priorities, so it probably won't happen.
Also, the FS1 is going to host, they've been doing a Wednesday night extravaganza with different types of cars. They've had IROC cars, and they've had midgets, and they've had modifieds. The Chili Bowl, they're actually going to, I guess, recreate the Chili Bowl on Wednesday night for their finale on FS1. So that'll be cool. I've seen Christopher Bell has been on Twitter and social media all week trying to get, Allgaier and Briscoe and everybody that's ran Landon Castle and a bunch of the guys that have been in the Chili Bowl, running the actual Chili Bowl, to come and run the virtual Chili Bowl on Wednesday. So if you've never seen the Chili Bowl live in action and you want to kind of see what it's like, tune into FS1 on Wednesday. It's going to be a really cool event that they're going to put on for their finale. And then, as Tom mentioned, North Wilkesboro will be the iRacing Invitational Series finale, which, as he mentioned, is a track that is not available on iRacing yet. So it's something that's going to be a part of the iRacing brand at some point, down the road. But this is the first live look at what the track is going to look like rendered through iRacing. So it'll be really cool to see that as well. And then a little bit of tidbit information. If you watched the race on Sunday, you heard when they announced that they were going to run North Wilkesboro for the finale, Jeff Gordon got real giddy, and he was like, I was the last person to win at North Wilkesboro, so I think I want to get in on that. So look for Gordon to possibly be in the field on Sunday too, or on Saturday. For the finale. That'd be kind of cool too. Yeah,
that would be fun. Regan Smith was the featured driver on Sunday in place of Clint Boyer. I'm not sure if Clint just wanted a week off, or of course they had the whole deal where they showed the picture of the sim with all the empty beer cans around it from the night before. Yes. So not sure, but it would be nice to have Jeff and Regan, because the two of them are like two kids in a candy store.
Yes.
With that, Clint's very entertaining. But Clint actually tries to take it more seriously, I think, than either of those other two guys. I think they both want to take it seriously, right, but they just have this sort of youthful exuberance about it, and it really makes it interesting when they're in the on. So we'll see who they get this weekend.
Yeah. We are going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we will have Christian Eckes on the strutmasters.com hotline. Stick around. We'll be right back. More of the Inside Pass on WSIC.
This is News Talk, 105.9 Lake Norman, 100.7 Greater Statesville, WSIC, where North Charlotte turns first for breaking news and severe weather alerts.
Financial stuff, it's so confusing. Where do you even start?
With a trusted partner who knows the options and can understand your individual needs. That partner is Joshua Dobie from the North Main Financial Group in Cornelius and host of North Main Financial, Saturdays at noon on WSIC.
Hello, this is Joshua Dobie, and I'm excited to share financial education while securing your financial future. Whether it's stocks, bonds, life insurance, partnerships, or anything else, we're here to help. Join me Saturdays at noon and visit us at northmainfinancial.com.
For WSIC, I'm Fox 46 meteorologist Nick Koser. Watch out for some scattered showers and storms this evening. Low tonight drops down to about 53. The rain will come to an end. And for tomorrow, it's going to be a dry but cooler day. Partly sunny and 65. Touch warmer Thursday, mostly sunny with a high temperature of 66. From the Neighborhood Stormwatch Forecast Center, I'm meteorologist Nick Koser. Be sure to catch Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane today on Fox 46 News at 5.
You could stop at one of those hip coffee places, fork over $5 and get enough to fuel you through about 8:30. Or you can stop at Cat's Patch in Troutman for their all-new line of Cat Daddy coffees. Enjoy frappes, mochas, or just a great cup of joe, all at a great price. Cat's Patch is still the #1 spot for the very best barbecue, hot dogs, fries, and tenders. Plus, try their all-new burgers. Call ahead or dine in. 629 North Main in Troutman, 704-528-6669, 704-528-6669.
Okay, you know how it feels when you've saved enough for that long-awaited home edition? Now imagine an addition on that addition. Whoa. That's the feeling with Capital One, where a new savings account earns an interest rate 5 times the national average. That's right, 5 times, as represented by 5 times more singers. This is banking reimagined. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Rate comparison based on FDIC national rate. Capital One NA member FDIC.
Attention SSI recipients. If you did not file a tax return last year and have children under 17, you must act now to get the $500 economic impact payment per child. If you do not act by May 5th, you must wait until next year to get those payments. Go to irs.gov and enter your information in the non-filer tool by May 5th. That's irs.gov. This message produced by Social Security at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Before you throw away those unused medicines, stop.
There are better ways to dispose of your unused meds to protect the ones you love.
To find a medicine disposal site near you, visit www.safe.pharmacy. A public service message from the National Association of Boards of Pharmacy.
I'm Chase Elliott, and you're listening to the Inside Pass.
Speaking of Chase Elliott, welcome back to the Inside Pass here on WSIC. Tom Baker, Randy Miller with you. And let's go straight to the strutmasters.com hotline and talk to one of the fastest rising drivers in the NASCAR series. He is the driver of the number 18 Safe Flight Toyota Tundra for Kyle Busch Motorsports. We welcome Christian Eckes to the Inside Pass. Good morning, Christian, and thank you so much for taking some time out to join us this morning.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for having me.
So, obviously, I know you're raring to get back at it and get back on the racetrack and get going again, but for all of your fans out there, what have you been doing to kind of laying low during this quarantine or as house arrest, as Tom Baker likes to say?
Yeah, not much, man. We've been iRacing here and there, watching a lot of movies, working out here and there, but, yeah, there's not much to do at this time.
Talk a little bit about your opening part of your season, albeit short that it was, and kind of bring everybody back up to date on how you started the 2020 season for KBM. I know that being able to run for Kyle is a great honor for you and a full-time opportunity this year. So get us up to date from Daytona forward.
Yeah, it was definitely a struggle the first two races. Just some bad luck and misfortunes that took away the finishes that we deserved, but at the same time there was a lot of positives to look at. I felt like we had two race-winning trucks. Vegas, Kyle was there, so it made it a little bit tough. But besides him, I felt like we had the fastest trucks. So there's a lot to look forward to when we get back. And obviously it kind of sucks sitting here, 3-month break. With that bad of finishes to start the year, but at the same time, my team's really hopeful and ready to get back and then, kind of fix that.
Well, it almost seems like it's time to hit a reset button for you and just put all that behind you and start fresh at Charlotte, hopefully with a really strong run and maybe a victory to kind of restart your season a little bit in a more positive way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's really what we've used this past 3 months to try to get better at, really just improve our team, improve, what I've done. It is, like you said, it's a reset button, and it was kind of much needed after the first two. And, I felt like we were going to get it back on track at Atlanta, and obviously, we had the coronavirus that took that away. But, in the same aspect, we were able to get even better because of it.
So give us a little bit of insight as to what you guys are going to be going through. You guys are going to hit the racetrack at Charlotte without any practice, no qualifying, nothing, just kind of unload and, go to town. How does that change your mindset going into it? Because you guys are used to the continuous, practice and qualifying and practice and, racing and stuff. And now it's just kind of, unload and go. How does that change your mindset going into Charlotte?
Yeah, so I've ran Charlotte one time before. I guess I tested as well, both for the ARCA car, but I have a little bit of experience there, but, at the same time, it's going to be my first laps going straight on the racetrack for the race. And, it's nerve-wracking, but at the same time, I'm pretty excited for it. Honestly, I feel like, my team is in the best scenario to take advantage of this. And we've ran really well at Charlotte. Kyle won in our truck last year, and with Rudy as the crew chief. So we definitely have a lot of notes to go over, and hopefully we just have a good showing.
How do you actually prepare? A lot of folks are telling us we're spending an awful lot of time on iRacing because we can't get into the manufacturer sims, but how can you sort of do your homework other than maybe relying on those notes and perhaps watching some past video of races there? What are you doing to prepare? Because obviously that's going to be quite different for you guys to just show up and race and not have that practice and qualifying to kind of help you to get set up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The TRD simulators are starting to back up on a part-time basis. So,
good.
Yeah, we'll have that. And, that's been instrumental in my career so far. So, really looking forward to getting back in there. Love the TRD guys, and like you said, iRacing has been a huge tool for all of us. it's not as realistic as the big money simulators, but in the same aspect, you can still make moves and really, kind of hone in your skills a little bit, get ready for the real thing. So, there's definitely been some tools coming up, and hopefully it can help me when I first start at Charlotte.
So let's talk about the pressure situation for a little bit, because I know going back to the last year, you won the ARCA championship after being out for 4 or 5 races, being really, really, really sick, and going back and winning the championship, and then getting the opportunity to run full time this year for KBM. Last year, the KBM team I don't feel like as strong as they were in years past. And, it could be team, it could be drivers, who knows? But I mean, Kyle went out and got Rafael Lessard to come in and kind of rejuvenate the whole entire organization and kind of go out there and prove that KBM is a dominant force in the Truck Series. Do you feel that pressure from Kyle at all, and him going and saying, last year was a bad year, we need to get off on the right foot and we need to get some wins and get both you and Rafael both into the playoffs this year?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It kind of comes with the job, and I feel like I've handled pressure pretty well in the past, but this is kind of a whole other animal. It's in the top 3 series, and I've taken on this challenge, and I'm really enjoying it so far. But like you said, man, I think KBM trucks are the fastest, and I feel like we've shown that so far. It's just that little extra that I need to put it together, because the Truck Series is really, really challenging this year. There's a lot of good trucks, and it's going to be a fun time, and I'm really up for the challenge and think that we can succeed at it.
Christian, when you look at the situation in the Truck Series, you talk about how competitive it is. It seems like to me this year is even more deep, if you will, with competitive trucks than it's been in the past. And yet, as you mentioned, it seems like KBM has come out of the box very fast. You had 2 trucks that could win each of those races to open the season, but just didn't have the results to show for them. What do you think that it's going to take for you to kind of get over that hump and still have a chance to run for the championship here? Because I think I can speak for both Randy and I when I say we definitely have the faith in you to go out and win that title. It's just a matter of making performance turn into results.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is such a performance and, momentum kind of sport that I really just think that we need to start stringing some finish together. Like I said, we have the speed to go do it and go win races. It's really just about putting everything together. I think at Vegas I had a bad restart, and that took us out of a top 2 finish, and we ended up getting put in the wall because of it. Daytona, I think I had a pit road penalty or something stupid like that, and that put us behind, and we ended up getting into a wreck. And there's just little things here and there that we can improve. It's definitely it's hard to win when Kyle Busch is there, but at the same time, we got to do our best to try to do that. I feel like we have a team, and I feel like I can get it done to be able to do that. We just got to put it all together and have to see what happens.
So I know, as far as we understand, that bounty is still out there for the first Truck Series regular that can beat your boss, Kyle Busch, on the racetrack. Are you in the back of your mind secretly hoping that money becomes yours at some point in time during the season, if you can go out there and whoop up on your boss a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, it's not so much about the money. I feel like that'd be pretty cool to go out there and win a Truck Series race in general. But if you beat Kyle Busch, I think this is like I don't even know how many straight Truck Series win. And, you watch film on him, and he's just so damn good in the truck that it's tough. It's going to be tough. And with Danny Stockman leading that team, it's been pretty solid so far. And it's definitely going to take a lot of hard work. I feel like we're up to the challenge.
I think that shows you how tough it is to beat Kyle Busch, because, Christian said, you can look at the tape over and over again and you can't figure it out. He's in the shop, he's physically seeing the car and the truck being put together, and still can't figure out how it's so fast.
Well,
no, it's crazy now.
See, I think that's what makes Kyle so good, though, is that Kyle, it's not just that he gets in and drives them. He wants them built a certain way, he wants them set up a certain way. He knows the vehicles inside and out. And Christian, that's got to be a great lesson for you guys as, his drivers to be able to realize how important it is to know the setups inside and out and be able to have more and more input into what you need in order to be fast. Because as you say, it's the little things now in a series like the Truck Series that make the difference. And the better you are at feedback, obviously the better the performance is going to be, which increases your chance of a win.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Vegas was my first race and running there, And, just to hear him talk after practice and have so much detail about each and every run, just kind of really put it in perspective of what you need to do to win at this level. And, it's definitely a huge benefit to have him there. Kind of have the feedback on it, because all of our trucks are mostly the same. So, pretty much whatever he's feeling, I probably have the same feeling as well. So, he's a huge tool for that. And, I'm just looking forward to the rest of the races when he's there for that reason.
Yeah, it's obviously good to have somebody like Kyle Busch to lean on, in times where, like going to Vegas when you a track you've never been to. But your teammate also, Rafael Lessard, is still kind of new and green at this whole thing too. And you actually have, I think, a little bit more experience than he does. How much does he lean on you? And I guess you guys lean on each other for notes and, just kind of talking through things when you guys are out there practicing and qualifying, getting ready for a race.
Yeah, so he asked me a bunch of questions before Vegas, as well as asking Kyle, because that was his first mile and a half in a truck. So, it's definitely a little bit of a learning curve for him. I ran, I think, 12 races before I started this year. And then I had all the ARCA experience in the mile and a half and super speedways and stuff like that, but he didn't have any of that. I think the biggest track he ran was Dover or something like that. So, it's been a little bit of a learning curve for him, but, at the same time, I feel like he's done a really good job. And, he's been helpful as far as, kind of the feedback aspect of it as well, and trying to get our trucks better. I feel like that'll just improve more and more as the year goes on.
When you look ahead at kind of what's going on here, obviously Charlotte opens for you, and you don't really know for sure, at least as of what we know as media, you don't really know for sure where next you're going, but it does seem like certain areas like Virginia, for example, or Kentucky, that maybe weren't a possibility when all of this talk started a few weeks ago, now are a possibility for, the next few weeks down the road. So when you look ahead, how do you kind of prepare past Charlotte when you're not exactly sure where the schedule is going to take you? What does that do to your kind of daily preparation as a driver?
Yeah, it was honestly kind of a relief to finally know where we're heading next, especially after 2-3 months. I mean, you're trying to get ready for so many races at one time because you really don't know what's coming next. And I felt like Charlotte was an optimistic goal, or a realistic goal, really, for our return. So, we worked pretty hard on that one, but in the same aspect, we're pretty much ready for everything. The team has been working really hard. Of course, is on a part-time basis with the regulations and stuff, and all of our trucks are pretty much ready and ready to go. I think there's only a couple trucks that aren't finished, so we're really prepared for everything that we can do. And we'll just have to see how the schedule turns out, but at the same time, we'll be ready for it.
I know you were ready to get back out on the racetrack, but who helps you make all of this happen? Sponsors and the like.
Yeah, obviously, State Flat Auto Glass has really stepped up big this year, and it's something that I was looking forward to from about mid last year. It's kind of when that deal started coming through, and finally you'd be in the top 3 series of NASCAR after how hard I've worked and stuff like that to get here. It definitely was awesome for them to do that. Obviously all of Toyota Racing and their sponsors like JBL, Mobil One, Craftsman, iBuyPower, just really everybody that helps them as well. And I have so many great supporters behind me, and hopefully I can go show them something here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think I don't necessarily speak for Tom, but I know when we started talking about the preseason for trucks this year, I think you were probably most of our early picks at least to make it to the Final Four, if not win the championship. So, good luck with all of your success, and I know you're ready to get back after it. So good luck at Charlotte and wherever the Truck Series takes us after that. But good luck for the rest of the season, and we will talk to you again soon.
Sounds good, man. I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Christian Eckes, everyone. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be back on the other side with more of the Inside Pass on WSIC.
When you get in your car this afternoon, tune to News Talk 105.9 Lake Norman, 100.7 Greater Statesville, and get the latest breaking news and weather for your commute.
Headlines for North Iredell and the region. Here's WSIC News. You've tuned in to hear local news, and so have a lot of other people. Your business could be advertising right here. Find out how affordable it can be. Call 704-872-6345, 704-872-6345.
Thanks for tuning in for local news with WSIC. I'm Margaret Beveridge. As a result of the COVID-19 impact, the Parkdale Mills plant in Salisbury closed on April 20th, according to a WARN notice filed with the state. A WARN notice, which stands for Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification, is required to be filed when a company announces plans to either close a facility or conduct a mass personnel layoff. Kroger is donating 200,000 gallons of milk to food banks amid the coronavirus crisis. America's largest supermarket chain said it will direct the surplus milk to Feeding America food banks and community organizations through the end of August. It's good news for both dairy farmers and families in need. With businesses such as restaurants and hotels forced to close during the pandemic, the milk would have likely spoiled. WSIC is working around the clock to help keep you informed, so visit WSICFM.com as well as our Facebook page, and stay tuned right here for more.
Randy Marion's the king of price. Go check out the great deals on new and pre-owned vehicles. Whatever your needs are, Randy Marion Ford of Statesville's got you covered. Go see him today. You'll be glad you did. Randy Marion Ford, I-77, exit 49B. Visit randymarionford.com.
There's a problem with coffee today. We throw it in our shopping carts and just drink it out of habit. Transform your coffee experience with Black Powder Coffee, roasted right here in Mooresville. Black Powder Coffee gives you a prime roasted craft blend at a reasonable price. Depending on the bean, you'll taste subtle notes of vanilla, berries, and chocolates with a smooth finish. Pick up Black Powder Coffee at Harris Teeter, Ingles, Publix, La Fresca, The Coffee Lodge, or Lowry Drug. When you're in Mooresville, stop by the roastery, 256 Raceway Drive, blackpowdercoffee.com.
The Bible tells us we are to be salt and light to the world around us. But how exactly do we do that? This is Pastor Randy Mitchell inviting you to join us for Salt and Light. We answer that question and discuss the real issues facing our culture today. Join us Thursdays at 11.
Hey, this is Tracy Austin from the Mental Fitness Matters Show. Join me and Patrick Reynolds, the host of Speedway Report, as we discuss the mindset of drivers and how you transition from normal day-to-day to high-speed racing. Thursday morning, 8:30, right here on News Talk, WSIC.
Get the latest local headlines anytime at WSICFM.com.
Hello, race fans. This is Chris Wright. Thanks for listening to these guys. Man, what some great radio hosts. You're listening to the Inside Pass.
Welcome back to the Inside Pass here on WSIC. Tom Baker and Randy Miller back with you. I don't know why I flipped it all of a sudden. I usually say me, then you, and lately I've been doing you, then me. Whatever.
Say yourself first, then me.
Whatever.
You're on camera.
They all know who we are. So welcome back to the show. We thank you for listening to us this morning. As I mentioned at the top of the show, TV's broken, but you can listen to us on the radio at 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, or 1400 AM. If you're out and about this morning in the Charlotte area and you're tuning to the radio, tune into us and listen to us. We're a lot more fun than the coronavirus crap that's going on. And you can also, if you're at home and you're trying to find something to do, tune us on Facebook Live. Just go to the WSIC Facebook page, and we are there live and in living color. I hope your phone is in color. If it's not, I don't know what phone you would have that's in black and white, but whatever. Or you can also see how quickly the show just derails. Or you can listen to us on the web at WSICFM.com. And our thanks to Christian Eckes for joining us this morning. If you missed the interview, it'll be up on social media and all the podcasting platforms later on today if you want to catch it. And next week on the show, we have another truck driver in Ben Rhodes who's going to join us.
Yes.
So we're excited to talk to him about that.
That'll be fun.
As well. And in 2 weeks, we got Justin Allgaier.
By the way, if somebody wants to call in and talk with us, how do they do that?
Yeah, I was getting to that. If you want to call in and talk to us, you can give us a call. The number is 704-873-1400. Call in and then let us know what you're most excited about in the return of NASCAR, which, by the way, is May 17th. We'll get to that in a second. A little bit of, breaking news. I just found out that Kyle Larson's been invited to participate in the World of Outlaws race at Knoxville on Friday night. That's an actual race, not an iRace. That's the first World of Outlaws race back since the coronavirus pandemic began. One driver who will be in the field is Casey Kane. So a lot of exciting things happening with the World of Outlaws, but Kyle has been invited to participate by the World of Outlaws in the race on Friday night. He has completed his sensitivity training too, by the way. So we'll see what happens.
It
should be a good step forward for him.
Yeah, it should be interesting. It was last night on League Lab, we did most of our show talking to various promoters, track promoters, about the feasibility of short tracks reopening and all of that, and what they would. And it came to where we realized that Knoxville was an invitational because, of course, you can't put 128.
Right. Exactly.
And so then we wondered, well, how were they deciding who gets invited, and all of that. And Kyle's name came up during a break, and, we weren't sure, obviously, the situation. He is involved, or was scheduled to be involved, in this bounty deal for the Truck Series for GMS racing at one of the upcoming races. I forgot which one he was going to run.
I think it was Atlanta.
Which should be coming up in a few weeks, I think.
Yes.
But we'll see. So again, weren't sure if he was going to, with the situation being what it was, but happy to hear that he's back in the lineup for Knoxville, because in my honest opinion, I think at this point that needs to just, it's like, let's go forward here. He's done his training. I'm sure by now he understands the situation, and I'm happy to see that he's being allowed to do that, and I hope he goes and runs well.
Yeah, I don't think he's done in Cup either. Just my personal opinion. I don't think
it's just going to be a question of where.
Yeah, exactly. And you can name a list of teams that you think he might join. There's one in particular that I find interesting, but we'll see as time goes on. So NASCAR returns May 17th. We know that now. We've been spending the last 6-7 weeks trying to figure out when we might get to go racing. It was made official Thursday, I believe, of last week. That we will return to racing. Darlington and Charlotte are going to be the two tracks we run at, 7 races in 11 days. So when the 17th comes, be ready, because we are going to hit the ground running. To be so much NASCAR coverage you won't know what to do with. We do know, based on the teleconference and some of the notes that have been handed down to us in the media, that 3 tracks will lose a date this year. We know pretty much one of them is going to be Sonoma. It's a 99.999% chance. But
we thought we knew.
Oh, really? Is there's more meets that I know?
There are. Last night we had Kenny Shepard from Madeira Speedway on.
Yes,
he was
which is California.
Yes, California. Yes. And Madeira is getting set to reopen.
Really?
Yes, along with a handful of other short tracks. It's a phased reopening, and because I could take the rest of the show explaining the detail, you might want to just go listen to Lead Lap on your favorite podcast platform.
Right, exactly.
But he was the last guest in our second hour, but he managed to somehow reclassify his sports and entertainment venue to be a recreational facility, the equivalent of a golf course.
Oh.
And so, of course, if you're going to open the golf courses, and he got the counties around him, now he's in an area of California that's more rural, he's got mountains, and he told us that if you get away from L.A. and San Francisco and some of the, the biggest cities, that California is really not that bad.
Yeah, right.
So,
makes sense.
So the counties are starting to break away from the governor, and, of course, the governor now is trying to find a way around that. But there were a series of steps that Kenny worked through, not being devious, but simply using the system that's in place. And managed to, and he's starting to share that with other racetracks now.
Hey, there you go.
So it's I think we all assume, because NASCAR is an event on the grand scale, that's not going to happen now. But maybe without fans, possibly. Again, Sonoma's in a place, or not Sonoma, but Madeira's in a place where he does the TV show on MAV TV, so he's not opening with fans right away. Right. But he is expecting that he will have fans there later in the summer.
That makes sense.
Again, as long as the statistics don't go the wrong way,
right?
So again, what you think at 11 o'clock this morning, at 24 hours from now, that's what happened last week. We read the tentative schedule.
Right.
10 minutes later, the real schedule came out.
Yeah, it wasn't anything anywhere close. We do know that the official word on the 3 tracks will be made next week. Adam Stern had posted a tweet yesterday saying that NASCAR said they weren't going to release any more scheduling this week, but next week they will release a few more of the dates going into June. So,
right.
As well as the 3 tracks that have lost a date. What we do know, or at least what we again think we know, is that based on what was heard in the teleconference, it's going to be a road course, an intermediate track, and a short track.
Yeah. Now,
which opened up a fury of
which
questions.
of the short tracks is NASCAR going to?
Well, because now that once and again, since it's ever changing, ever fluid situation, since this teleconference, we have learned that Virginia is going to start opening their state back up a little earlier than they originally thought, because it was until June 10th,
right?
But now they're going to start their phase reopening next week, so that opens the possibility of maybe Martinsville and Richmond being part of the scenario, maybe in June or July. So I don't know if this situation, during the teleconference was because they knew, okay, well, we're not going to get into Virginia until this, we're not going to get into California until this. Now that they've kind of opened this back up again, does this, do these guys take back what they said? And it's like, well, I mean, maybe there's a possibility now. Well, from what I understand, the rest of the schedule for the remainder of the year is finished and done. They just can't. They don't want to release it just in case they have to go back and go, okay, well, maybe we can't run this track now.
Well, I was going to say it's finished and done as of today, but we don't really know what's. Things are evolving so quickly at this point, in a good way.
Right.
It seems for the most part. You've got Virginia starting to open up. That was because that gives you Martinsville and Richmond. I can't see NASCAR now. Could I see them maybe taking one Richmond race away? Maybe. I can't see them eliminating any of the short tracks completely off the schedule because the only ones you've got, Martinsville, Bristol, Richmond, and where else?
Right.
That's it.
I mean, a lot of people
you consider a mile as still a short track.
Right, and what I was going to say is a lot of people are considering like Loudon to be a short track because it is little, it's a little around a mile. Maybe it's like, whatever it is.
I could see Loudon losing a race.
My thought would be, if we're going to lose 3 tracks, I would think that based on logistics, New Hampshire is the furthest, away to the north that we would run conceivably, and they only have one date. So I kind of feel like it's pointless to go all the way up there for one race,
especially if you got to do it without fans.
Exactly. Yeah. And the same thing with Sonoma. If we're doing Sonoma without fans, why go all the way to the West Coast?
Right.
We do go back to the West Coast in the fall for Las Vegas, but that's a playoff race. So
and you got Phoenix over there,
and you got Phoenix too, which is the last race of the season. So in order to do that, you'd have to put Sonoma in the playoffs. So
I think if you lose a short track, you lose Loudon if that's considered a short track.
Right.
Take Loudon off because you're running more at Charlotte, which is another SMI track anyway. Okay, then your intermediate track, Chicago.
Yeah.
Because again, still a lot of issues going on over there. So you eliminate Chicago. I don't know where. The road course, I assume, would be Sonoma.
Right. But Watkins Glen is the only other road course we run other than the Roval, and we're obviously not getting rid of the Roval. We're already going to run Charlotte in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
so.
And Watkins Glen is, again, Watkins Glen is at the mercy of Governor Cuomo up there, who doesn't seem to want to open anything, although he says maybe a phased reopening coming up, but then, the next
Watkins
thing
Glen
is,
could be a possibility. I mean, who knows?
Boy, you'd hate to lose that. That's a sellout.
Yeah.
And that's also not until mid-August.
That's been one of the only races that's been a sellout every year for the last 13, 14 years. So
there's still a lot of things to be determined here, and I would think that NASCAR probably has the schedule that as of today they think they can do, but a lot of this is so fluid still that I would think that could change at any moment. And that's why they're waiting so long to announce it, I believe, is because they're going to wait until next Monday or Tuesday to see what the latest is at that point with a lot of these tracks. And because as you get closer to the 15th of the month and the tide continues to turn here in terms of the temperature of the citizens, to get back to work, the more pressure you put on these politicians, eventually they're going to have to pay attention one way or another.
You're going to have way too many riot situations on your hands in your state if you don't. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we have more on this situation with NASCAR returning. We'll talk more about the numbers when we come back on the Inside Pass here on WSIC. We'll be right back.
This is News Talk 105.9 Lake Norman, 100.7 Greater Statesville, WSIC, where Statesville turns first for breaking news and severe weather alerts.
Hey, radio family, it's Margaret Beveridge from the WSIC News Desk. Officers responded to calls regarding an armed robbery on Brookshire Road in Lenoir on Sunday. The victim described the vehicle and told police they were armed at gunpoint. A short time later, officials identified a red Honda Civic and attempted to make a traffic stop, at which point the vehicle fled. The car eventually ran off the roadway. The police report says the driver failed to obey the officer's commands, and the officer fired shots, killing the driver. This is the second deadly officer-involved shooting in the last 3 weeks in Caldwell County. A suspect was shot and killed following a confrontation with officers last month. Sumter, South Carolina police say a woman has been arrested on charges that she licked her hands, coughed, and touched food items at a grocery store and several surfaces at a fast food restaurant. Stay tuned to WSIC throughout the day for more. I'm Margaret Beveridge from the News Desk.
For WSIC, I'm Fox 46 meteorologist Nick Koser. Watch out for some scattered showers and storms this evening. Low tonight drops down to about 53. The rain will come to an end. And for tomorrow, it's going to be a dry but cooler day. Partly sunny and 65. Touch warmer Thursday, mostly sunny with a high temperature of 66. From the Neighborhood Stormwatch Forecast Center, I'm meteorologist Nick Koser. Be sure to catch Chief Meteorologist Tara Lane today on Fox 46 News at 5.
Hello, this is Joe Bagnone, host of Local Biz Now. A few weeks ago, I had my first visit with Dave Bowles, owner of Bowles Hearing Care Services. For years, I had worked way too hard to try and compensate for my hearing problems. In less than 30 minutes with Dave, oh man, I wanted to kick myself for not solving this problem sooner. He identified quickly what my hearing problem was, and he fitted me for an aid the same day. I was surprised at how accurate his assessment was of my problem with one office visit. I couldn't believe how my conversations had been changed immediately. And television, oh man, no longer is it a fight with my wife. I urge you to go see Dave Bowles or Deanna Howard. They are masters of their craft. Their offices are located in Hickory, Huntersville, and Mooresville. Go to bowleshearing.com, bowleshearing.com.
I'm Pastor Chris Thompson, and I want to invite you to join me this Sunday at 10 a.m. for the River of Life broadcast on WSIC, where we open God's Word and discover how God's truth transforms our life. That's the River of Life broadcast on WSIC at 10 a.m.
This is Justin Hoffman, and you're listening to the best guys on the radio, the Inside Pass.
Welcome back to the Inside Pass here on WSIC. Randy Miller, Tom Baker, I got it right there, Titus. Back with you here on this Tuesday morning, talking about NASCAR's return to racing on May 17th. We talked about some of the tracks which could lose a date, thinking maybe Loudon, Sonoma was, but now we don't know. So we'll keep you posted on that as we find out for sure what three tracks aren't going to race this year.
We're just speculating. We don't know.
Exactly. we have no idea. We're basing this off information that we got last week. So we do know that the schedule will continue into June. What we think is going to happen, or what we've heard is going to happen, is, as Tom said before the break, the three tracks that they're talking about running in June are Atlanta, Martinsville, Bristol. We don't know how many times we're going to run those tracks over the course of the month of June. As we get into July and into August, obviously Daytona and Homestead, come to mind as tracks that we could possibly run in July. NASCAR has to kind of be careful when they get into the summer months of July and August, because any state in the South is going to be 100 degrees in the daytime. So I think those are all going to be night races. I would assume. But
I mean most of the races are anyway.
Most of them are.
There's only one. I think Darlington, the first one on Sunday, is an afternoon, but you're still doing a lot of nighttime starts.
Right.
Here,
exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly. So some of the other things that we do know, as we mentioned with Christian earlier, there's going to be no practice, no qualifying, except for the 600. So they're going to unload, race, and go home. So it'll be a span of literally the TV time frame of the race. We have no idea how they're going to line things up yet. We've heard owner points, we've heard driver points, we've heard draw with inverts, we've heard all different kinds of things. We don't know how that's going to work yet. The playoffs as of right now are remaining intact, so the 10-race playoff chase is going to remain as it is right now, depending upon what tracks decide to bail out of that too. And victory lane is going to be held on the start-finish line as opposed to being in victory lane because it's close confines and there's too many people in one spot and things like that. So they're just going to do a short little victory lane type thing. As far as safety goes, what we do know about that, everyone that enters the racetrack will be required to wear some sort of mask of some kind, some sort of face covering. They also have to fill out a contact sheet for every single person that they come in contact with from the time they get to the gate to the time they walk back to the gate.
Good luck
at the end of the race. They have to write down every single person that they talk to, meet, touch, whatever, during the course of that time frame.
No touching.
Exactly. Wellness checks will also be done before and after the race. Somewhere I read they're going to do it during the race. Don't know how that would work unless you do it during a pit stop, but I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Drivers are going to be given a waiver should they get sick, which means that if something were to happen where a driver would end up contracting COVID-19, they would get a waiver to be able to make it into the playoffs. Having lost, you obviously would lose two races right off the bat because you'd have to be in quarantine for 14 days.
Right.
So they would be given waivers to be able to make it into the playoff when they get back racing again. They will also have each team is required to have a backup driver on standby in case of somebody getting sick. I think at this point, your Xfinity drivers would probably be the first people that would be called up, but, I'm sure they have their own little
Well, it's interesting
group
because when you think about it, the one big fear that everybody has, or the one big sort of vision that everybody has, is if a person on Team A contracts the virus, we have to shut down the entire garage. I don't see why that's the case. You get that person away, quarantine them. You're testing everybody anyway. Bring in the next guy up from your, everybody has extra pit people, or they should. At least most of the bigger teams do. And carry on. And the same with the driver. If a driver gets sick, then gets the virus, then you've got to have another driver on standby. You've got to have these provisions going in. But I think we've figured out by now that for most people, this virus is not the deadly, horrible thing that we thought it was for most people. The good news for most of the racing, the NASCAR community, is most of the drivers and even the crews, because of the job they do being a very physically demanding job, they keep themselves in great physical shape. Most of them eat well, right. And so I would think that, again, we've got hydroxychloroquine out there, we've got this remdesivir or whatever it is. There are ways to treat it to minimize the time that you're sick. I would think we're in a better environment at this point to go do this. And if you take the precautions up front, then you can just eliminate the person out who's contagious, make sure nobody else has it, and go.
You have that contacting log too, so you'll know who they made contact with while they were there. So we also know that the spotters are going to be up on the grandstands as opposed to up on the spotter stand at some tracks where you have to be in close quarters. Obviously, like Daytona and places like that, they'd be up on the roof again. But Darlington and places like that, they're going to be up in the grandstands because there's no fans in the stands. Anyway, obviously this is huge for the sport because NASCAR is going to be the first official sport to return to action. So it's going to be basically all eyes on NASCAR, not only from a rating standpoint, from a fan's perspective, because a lot of fans are wanting sports back. NASCAR is going to be the first sport to do that, but you've got other entities in sports looking at what NASCAR is doing. If this is going to work for NASCAR, then I think you'll see a firestorm of other sports getting going again. But it's going to take a couple of weeks for them to other commissioners of sports to go, okay, did it work? Were you guys able to put on a show, not get anybody sick? How were the ratings looking? What was the action like? That kind of thing. If it doesn't work, then I don't know, where we go from here. I mean, something, God forbid, something, serious happens and, everybody gets sick or something. I don't think that's going to be the case. But if we have a situation where, COVID takes out 2 or 3 drivers at once, and it doesn't work, I'm sure the government at that point will step in and go, okay, this was not a good idea, and have to cancel it all over again. Yeah. God forbid that doesn't happen. But it's kind of a best case, worst case scenario for them, and hopefully it works out for them because I think this is what gets the ball rolling for the rest of the sports world.
Well, this is why I kind of look at this whole thing from a very broad brush here and say the thing that in general that we all, I say we all, those who are in power, in charge of things, our leaders, need to be looking at is we need to get these treatment drugs out there. We need to make them widely available because at this point, if somebody gets it, take them out, quarantine them, treat them, and get them back in the game. kind of thing.
Right.
In other words, I think the key to all of this, because you can't keep the world shut down forever, and if, as we're being told by some of the experts, if this virus is going to be around for a long period of time, you just can't stop. The world can't fall apart because of it. So the treatment aspect has to be a priority, I would think. And, you can talk about vaccines, but, I guess you evaluate them when you have them. But right now we have at least a couple of drugs that we know have been very effective. And, one of the two of them is a very old, sort of inexpensive drug, and the other one is a drug made by a major big pharma company. And I'm not going to go any farther down that road than just to lay that out there. But
it's a whole other show. Tune in for that show.
Regardless of which one or both, and I would think responsibly, we ought to be putting them both out there, in as large a quantity as we can make them, as fast as we can make them, get them out there, make them available to people in hospitals and doctors and whatever. And let's get aggressive about treating this stuff so that we can start to, and then getting the virus doesn't become such a big deal.
Right, exactly. I'm one of those people that feels like, we're all adults here. We all know what the responsibility is as a citizen of the United States to go out in public and keep other people safe. So why are we punishing everybody for, it's open. Let's open things back up. Even if we do it slowly, that's fine.
Right.
We all know what we need to do. Wash our hands, wear a face mask, whatever we need to do to keep ourselves safe and keep other people safe. Then, I don't see what the problem is, but that's why I work here.
Yeah, exactly.
Other series are also planning their returns. NASCAR is not the only series that announced plans to return. We mentioned the World of Outlaws coming back Friday night at Knoxville. No fans in the stands, invitational race only, but that's the first major dirt from a nationwide perspective that's going to be able to get going again.
Yep.
The IndyCar series, as of right now, still planning a June 6th return at Texas Motor Speedway. The F1 series announced their plan to start back up on July 4th weekend, actually July 5th at Austria. Their schedule is kind of unique because they're basically going to do like a continent a month kind of thing, basically for the remainder of their season. And the most interesting thing to note is the NHRA. They decided yesterday that they were going to wait until August to come back
that up.
because they don't want to race without fans in the stands because they feel like their sport is so fan-driven they can't run without fans in the stands.
Well, and this is interesting. The NHRA situation is interesting. I was forwarded a copy, and I'm waiting for my computer to pull it up now, forwarded a copy of their tentative sort of reboot
it had
schedule
18 races, but 2 of them have already been done because they did 2 races before the quarantine shutdown. So they're down to 16.
So we've got 16, but here's the key. When you look at the schedule, August 1st and 2nd, August 8th and 9th, 15th, 16th, 22nd, 23rd, 29th, 30th, basically they don't get a week off until actually they don't get a week off until after the season ends in November. And so they're running August 1st through November 14th, and it's straight through every weekend. That is not normal for NHRA. And the feedback I've gotten from the couple of folks I've talked to that are involved with teams is that there are a number of teams that will not be able to do that schedule, that full schedule. So, this is a real tricky. The NHRA is in a bit of an interesting position because they were at a point where they were starting to see a bit of a decline. I don't know why, but they were starting to see a bit of a decline in the attendance. And so, now you try this aggressive, let's get all our races in and run every week kind of schedule. And there are a couple of teams that have told me that it's not going to happen for all of the teams. And so I was told it was tentative for that reason. They're still trying to figure out what the teams can do, but it's going to bear watching. And I really am pulling for the NHRA to come out of this very strong because I don't see how you could not enjoy it. To me, it's the best fan experience in all of motorsports right now. And I really hope that the NHRA is able to find a way to do this. But it just seems overly ambitious.
Right, exactly. That's a lot of races in a short amount of time, but that's what NASCAR's about to do, so we'll see what happens. But we want to thank Christian Eckes for joining us today on the StrutMasters.com hotline. We wish them the best of luck as the Truck Series gets going again in about 3 weeks or so. They've got to run to wait till we get to Charlotte for that. Next week on the show, we've got Ben Rhodes, also from the ThorSport Motorsports team. He'll join us as well. And Thursday on Madness, we're going to continue our draft that we started last week on the show with Nick DeGroot from Motorsport.com, so we're really excited about that as well. So for Tom Baker, I'm Randy Miller. See you Thursday on Motorsports Madness. Have a good week. Be safe. We'll see you next
week. News Talk for Southern Iredell. This is 105.9 FM, 100.7 FM, and 1400 AM. WSIC Statesville.